What is up, Bills Mafia? Joe Marino here. Very excited for a little bonus episode. Just going to give it a second here to let folks pile in here. We don't go live very often. Probably should do it more. Every time I go live, I always enjoy it. And then I say to myself, I should really do this more often. So let's have some fun here tonight. Not going to start until 6 o'clock, so give it just a second. Checking out the chat here. Daniel, go Bills. Good to see you, David. Christian, welcome. Ned Ryerson, I love Groundhog Day. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. And Ned's a great character in Groundhog Day. I love it. What's up, Antonio? Bills HQ, good to see you. Kel? What's up? Mike, what's up? Kevin, what's up? Taylor, good to see you. All right, let's have some fun here. We're at 6 o'clock. Some people think Ned is the devil. I don't know. I think Ned's an awesome character from Groundhog Day, so I'm here to be happy about it. Merry Christmas, David. What's up, Nicholas? Get crabs in here? No, we don't want that. We don't want that. We'll talk to Kyle next week, hopefully when we're preparing for a game that will decide the division. All right, so here's the deal. I didn't get the All-22 film tape this week, and that's extremely weird. I count on it. I've never had an issue before. I don't know if it's because there was games Saturday, really Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I don't know what the deal is, but I didn't get the All-22 tape this week. And it's not even available on NFL Plus right now. So time expired on doing the All-22 review. I mean, it's a very long process to do it. And it's like going to be Wednesday, and we got to get on to the Patriots prep. So instead of doing the All-22 review, we're going to do this. And I think this is going to be fun. And so let me tell you what we're going to do, and then let's do it. Every single year before the season, I evaluate every single NFL roster, and I put every single player in a bucket that categorizes what their role is within the scope of the team and through the lens of the NFL. And so I did this preseason for the Buffalo Bills, and I thought it would be fun to, at this point in the season where we've got 15 games under our belt, to go back and assess the roster and see where it might be a little bit better than we thought, might be a little bit worse than we thought, and just the natural evolution of an in-season roster. And so I think this should be fun for us to check out. And so I'm going to share my screen and kind of show you how I do this. And then I'm going to update it position by position today for where the Bills are at. And so I would love to hear from you guys as well. I can see the chat. I'm going to try to keep up with it as much as I can. But as I'm kind of talking through this, like, tell me what you're thinking. Say, Joe, you're crazy. Joe, I really like that. Let me know what you're thinking as well. I do these live streams, and I like for them to be a two-way conversation as opposed to just me talking to a computer screen. I know you guys are there. So let's have some fun together. And let's share my screen like this. All right, so this should show you exactly what the Bills roster was before the season, right? I mean, we're talking early preseason. We still got Cameron Dantzler on here. Well, hold on. We need these corners. Hold on. I gotta repurpose it. We'll get there. Give 1 second here. Make sure everybody can see everything. Give me 1 second here. Is that other corner spot showing up? Nope. We got to go a little bit further. All right. Everybody should be able to see that. All right. So this is where it was at before the season. And so obviously there's been a lot of things that are different now. I mean, you can see, for example, Cameron Dantzler, one of the Bills' corners. This is going to bother me. I got to fix this. This is bugging me. 1 second. All right. Yeah, Cameron Dantzler is one of the Bills' corners. Trey White, still a starter. Matt Milano, still a starter. There's things to fix here. Matt Barkley didn't make the team. So I want to take where this was preseason to where it is now and see where it's evolved. One thing I want to point out, though, is the index. So you'll see every single player has a color that coordinates with what I think their status is in the NFL. And this, again, is preseason. So much of this is going to change right now. And so the different buckets that you could be placed in are roster cornerstone, and roster cornerstone's a special category, right? Like, there's not that many players in the NFL that are in the roster cornerstone. So you have to be like a Josh Allen type player to be a roster cornerstone. Quality starter means you're excellent. You're an outstanding starter. You're reliable. You're a consistent playmaker. Rookie is a rookie. I'm hoping to not have anybody in a green bucket today. Adequate starter. Yeah, you're not an amazing player, but you are a solid, consistent player and starter caliber player. Replacement level means that, for the most part, you're just a guy. You're an average player, and replacing you wouldn't be hard. Quality depth is exactly that. You're a good backup. Wouldn't want you to start all the time, but you're a good backup. Red is non-roster caliber, self-explanatory. Pink is incomplete evaluation, and then gray is practice squad developmental player. So you're not a red, you're not non-roster caliber, you're certainly not a purple. As quality depth, that means that you're just a player that's worth rostering on your practice squad, but not quite ready to be part of the team. So we're going to take this where it was preseason, and we're going to right now start looking at what it would look like today if I were to do this project. So this should be fun, and obviously there's a ton of different things to adjust. So let's do it. Again, fill up the chat. Let me know what you're thinking. We're going to start with quarterbacks. I'll be careful with those scrolls to make sure I don't do that ever again. But at quarterback, well, let's start with getting the right players on here. Matt Barkley did not make the team. He is not on the roster. So let's clear it. Get him out of here. You're not here. Josh Allen, still a roster cornerstone. Nothing changes here. Kyle Allen, I have him as a replacement level backup quarterback. I think that's probably the appropriate bucket to keep Kyle Allen in. We haven't had to see him play much, but I think he's a bottom tier backup quarterback that, as you see the NFL and the quarterbacks that are starting right now, we've seen a ton of different players. And I think, as you see a Jake Browning or you see a Nick Mullins or who's the Cincinnati quarterback? I just said his name, Jake Browning, Joe Flacco coming in. I don't know that Kyle Allen's as good as those players. I'm going to keep him as an orange replacement level player. I don't think he's quality depth. I don't think he's a starter. I think he's a replacement level backup quarterback. At running back, this should be very interesting. As I am going to start updating the names here because it looks a lot different now, of course, I want to hear from you. Where do you think James Cook should be? What has James Cook showed you this year? What bucket would you put him in? Fill up the chat with that, and I'd love it if you hit the like button on this video. So as I update these names, I want to see what you think. What bucket should James Cook go into? Obviously, Damian Harris is on injured reserve, and to make this easier, I'm just going to start dragging guys out of the way. Nyheim Hines, not available, injured reserve. You still have Latavius Murray, and you got a couple of different players now. You got Ty Johnson on the active roster. I'm not putting Leonard Fournette down because he's still on the practice squad. Let's see here. And this is and good shout out here from Steven. This is what we do on I tried to put it on the screen. I don't know if I know this is going to work. There it is. This is what we do. I host another daily podcast, Locked On NFL Scouting, with Kyle Krabs, and a big part of our show is this. And so I'm kind of peeling back the layers on that side of things right now. Seeing a lot of quality starter. Yeah, I think I'd agree. James Cook right now is third in the National Football League in yards from scrimmage. Third. It's incredible. He leads the AFC in rushing. Like, if you would have told me that after week 16 that those are true statements, I would have really wondered how the heck we got here. Not that James Cook is not a talented player. I've never questioned his talent. It's just about him assuming that role and being able to be as productive as he's been. And I'd agree with everybody. I think he's done this right here. Ty Johnson, I think, is the definition of quality depth. Can run inside, outside, has some speed, could play special teams, kick return, cover kicks and punts. I think he's a rock-solid, quality depth player. As for Latavius Murray, what do you guys think? Is he still a purple, a quality depth player, or is he kind of more of an orange replacement level? You can find this guy anywhere. Yeah, some good comments here. I agree with that. Needs to work on ball security. Bill Fisher with a heck of a take here. Roster cornerstone. We've seen enough. I'll tell you, if he continues at this level, by this time next year, I think you'll put him in that. But when you think roster cornerstone and running backs, I mean, that's like the Christian McCaffrey bucket, right? I don't know if I'm ready to do that. And so that's as we work through this and we have these conversations, keep in mind when I say franchise cornerstone and running back, I mean, you got to be on the level of Christian McCaffrey. I don't think anyone's going to say James Cook is there. People are saying purple. I mean, obviously I'm going to make my own assessment here, but I'm interested to kind of see what the feedback is. Replacement level, good depth. I think that he's good depth. Short yardage back that can catch the football, can run between the tackles, veteran leadership. I think he's a quality depth player. So that's running back and that's quarterback. Nothing changed at quarterback. At running back, you added more depth. But, I mean, you lost at running back. Like, the Bills lost Nyheim Hines and Damian Harris. And what's so weird about the Damian Harris situation is it's been so quiet. And the guy has a neck injury, and we don't hear anything. We don't hear anything about him. He's just nobody knows what he's doing. So you lost him, who I thought going into the season, I thought he was a sufficient starting level player based on what I saw from the Patriots. So you lose him and Nyheim Hines, and you kind of keep it afloat with Latavius Murray and Ty Johnson, and then, of course, Leonard Fournette, who's chilling on the practice squad as a nice depth player. Let's go over to tight end. Excuse me. Let's go to tight end here. We've got Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, and Quentin Morris. Again, want to see your thoughts on the chat here, and I'll start at the bottom here with Quentin Morris. I think Quentin Morris has proven to me that he's a quality depth player. I'm going to move him to a purple. I appreciate not only what he offers as a four-phase special teams player, but he blocks, man. He competes so hard. I love the motor that Quentin Morris has on him. So, yeah, Steven, I'm with you there as a purple. I see we want to get funny comment there from Daniel. Dalton Kincaid to the roster cornerstone, future roster cornerstone, we hope. What would I put Dalton Kincaid in? I mean, he's been a really good receiving player. I like what he offers. He's still a rookie. I think at this point, Dalton Kincaid has probably done this. I think he's gone from, hey, rookie, you need to find out, to at least an adequate starter. A little bit of some drops problems of late. His production has tapered off, but he's a rookie that has went on some hot streaks. The skill set is obvious. I'm going to put him down as an adequate starter, and I'm also going to leave Dawson Knox in the adequate starter position. So we got tight end done, we got quarterback done, we got running back done. Let's go to wide receiver, and let's first make sure we have the right names. Diggs, Sherfield, Shakir Hardy, Gabe Davis. Shorter is on IR. Is there a player that the Bills only have 6 receivers, or are missing somebody? I think that's it, right? They only have 5 receivers, right? I don't think I'm missing anybody. That's the players that we have. Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, Trent Sherfield, Khalil Shakir, Deontay Hurdy. Unless I'm forgetting somebody, that's the whole group. Let's start with Stephon Diggs. I don't think anything's changed here. I'm certainly not excited about his current production. Has really not been efficient or consistent for the last several games. But I don't think anything's changed here in terms of him being one of the premier wide receivers in the NFL. He's in a little bit of a slump. That happens. Still a premier NFL player. I'm keeping him as a roster cornerstone. Trent Sherfield, quality depth. He blocks a lot. He plays special teams. He doesn't make any plays on offense. I think he's still a quality depth player. At slot receiver, I think Khalil Shakir, I think it's time to have a little conversation here. I think at a minimum, Khalil Shakir, between being a very effective slot receiver that can run routes, that can block, that also can handle return duties, there's a lot working for him there. I wish that he got more opportunity. Like his per route and per reception numbers are really good. But I think as a slot receiver, I think he's at least, I think this is a fair place to put him as an adequate starter. And then Deontay Hardy. I have been just completely underwhelmed with Deontay Hardy this year. The one thing that I had been complimentary of as it relates to Deontay Hardy has been, all right, this guy can at least handle your punt return duties. And he has all year except for one play. But man, that was a costly fumble against the Chargers. Gave him a 27-yard field to score and took the ball away from Josh Allen. I mean, a huge swing in the game. He overcame it, but yeah, I see you, Chase. All right. There's some people seeing it the way that I do. I'm thinking that Deontay Hardy went from quality depth to that. It changes colors to black there. All right, then Gabe Davis, adequate starter. He probably still is an adequate starter, and I think the hard thing for the Gabe Davis conversation for me is I'm very critical of his skill set. And my critiques towards him are more the type of player that I want for the role versus what he gives. He's an inconsistent player, but I think there's some limitations, and not only that he offers, but the Bills don't always prioritize getting him involved. I'm not sure I'm going to move him off of a yellow as a adequate starter. Some people are saying quality depth, adequate starter from Steven, replacement level, adequate starter. I think I'm going to leave him as an adequate starter. Which gets us to the offensive line, and we got some things to shift around here. David Questenberry not on the team. Ike Bucker not on the team. Brandon Shell retired. Hope you're enjoying your time. Starters. Nope, this is not correct. These got to swap. And then we have Jermaine Ifedi. And then I'll put Bates here. And I'll put Alec Anderson and then Ryan Vandemark. Center these up. All right, let's do the starters and we'll get to the backups. And I'm checking out the chat as well here. Got to take sips of tea here. My throat's been kind of bothering me the last couple of days. All right, Deion Dawkins. Am I going to do it? Is he going to go for roster cornerstone? He's been unbelievable this year. Should I do it? What do you guys think? Quality starter? Roster cornerstone, like, I got to be true to myself here. That's the Trent Williams tier. That's the Trent Williams, Lane Johnson. That's that bucket. That's a special bucket. I don't know if Deion's there. I think I'm going to leave him as a quality starter. Oh, a lot of people are saying cornerstone. Cornerstone for sure, people are saying. He's easy top 10, but top 10 doesn't mean you're a roster cornerstone. I think he's well above average. I think he's a quality starter, but am I going to put him with Trent Williams and Tyron Smith and Lane Johnson? I see it same way Eric does. I think I see it just like this. Definitely quality, but definitely high end. High end quality starter. I can't put him in the Trent Williams bucket. I can't do that. Connor McGovern, sufficient, adequate starter. I don't think there's anything to change there. Mitch Morse, I think, is a quality starting center. Osiris Torrance is a rookie. I think he's no longer a green. I think Osiris Torrance has shown us this year that he can be at least an adequate level starter with the arrow pointing up. Yeah, and this is an important. I like that Scott made this point here. He's Buffalo's cornerstone. I agree with that. I think through the context of the Bills, Deion Dawkins is a franchise cornerstone. Through the lens of the NFL, right? Like, that's the other piece of this. There's going to be players here, and I'm sure Dawkins is not going to be the only one, where cornerstone for the Bills in the landscape of the league, maybe not. And that's kind of how I'm looking at that. Osiris Torrance, I think, has shown us that he's like I said, an adequate level starter with the ceiling, the arrow going up there. Spencer Brown. Let's go. Look at this. No longer incomplete. I think he's at least this, right? I think he's shown that he's an adequate starter. I'm not ready to get crazy here and put him in the quality starter bucket, but he's no longer incomplete and he's no slug out there. He's 15 games into the year. We're not even concerned about him anymore. I've said before to some people, like, I miss the days when Terrell Bernard and Spencer Brown were our biggest problems, right? All right, so the backups, I think Ryan Vandemark he's a pink. I would love to call him adequate depth or quality depth. I don't know if he is or not. I liked him during the preseason. I hyped him up all preseason long, but like, is he what? We haven't learned anything, so I don't know yet. David Edwards, I think, is an adequate starter. I think the Bills are lucky to have him. They're getting him on the field more and more as a big tight end. And if Osiris Torrance or Connor McGovern would have had to miss time, I'd have no problems with David Edwards having to start. And Ryan Bates, I'd say the same thing. I think he's a starting caliber NFL offensive lineman. Love he can play any of these spots, obviously best at center and guard. I think he's a starting level player. Alec Anderson, there's no chance I have any clue where he's at. Same thing that I said about Ryan Vandemark. Like, great preseason, earned a job, hasn't had to play. I have no idea. I think that's a true definition of an incomplete evaluation. And then for Jermaine Ifedi has enough of a career that I can point to, and I studied his tape hard when the Bills signed him. I think he's a quality depth player, and I think it says a lot that the Bills have been very fortunate to not have to like deal with a lot of their depth on the offensive line. But teams are always massaging their roster, and the fact that Ryan Vandemark, Alec Anderson, Jermaine Ifedi were like day one rostered backups and nothing's changed throughout the entire season, I think says a lot about their comfort level with those players, even if he's been inactive for every single game. So there's the offense. I think you've seen, pretty much growth, consistent growth from all the position groups. I think you had a drop off here in Deontay Hardy. I think we were kind of hoping that Trent Sherfield would be a little bit more, but he hasn't been. Khalil Shakir, I think, has definitely earned that. James Cook, this is a huge piece of this. He went from, like an incomplete evaluation to quality starter. That's a big deal. And then him turning into a sufficient starter and him turning into a sufficient starter is all really good stuff. Even Dalton Kincaid, right? Like, this is all very good. All very good. And some reasonable, like, I want to call them gambles, but the Bills definitely made some calculated choices here with the players that they trusted to assume bigger roles, and they've done it. And that's a good thing. We'll take that. Let's do these specialists real quick. Tyler Bass is, I think, is this year 5 for him? Whatever years up until now, I think he's been a quality starter. This year, I think he's been more sufficient. But I'm going to keep him there because I think the bigger sample size of his career tells us that he's one of the better kickers in the league. I still think Sam Martin's a yellow, adequate level starter. Reed Ferguson, he's a quality long snapper. And Reggie Gilliam, I think, is an adequate level starting fullback that plays 4 phases of special teams. So there's the specialists. There's the offense. Let's do the defense now. Let's start at defensive tackle. So this is kind of the group. Jordan Phillips now on injured reserve. So you have Linval Joseph. Wow, Daquan Jones. Pour one out. Not a fan of that. All right, Linval. So I guess this is what they did this week. I'll put Linval Joseph here, even though he's more of a one technique. Not going to split hairs. All right, Ed Oliver. What do you think? This is going to be just like the Deion Dawkins conversation. Is he in the Chris Jones, Aaron Donald bucket? What do you guys think? Talk to me about Ed Oliver. What bucket? He's definitely not going down. It's either the quality starter or the roster cornerstone. But keep in mind, roster cornerstone is Chris Jones, Aaron Donald, Dexter Lawrence, that type of player. Steven and I have been in lockstep to this point. I don't know if we are going to be on this one. Appreciate you guys interacting. That makes this a lot funner for me. A lot more fun. Sorry, somebody sent me an email about me saying the word funner on the podcast instead of more fun. So I'll try to fix that if I can. Checking out the chat here. Good mix of corners. Look at this. Cameron hit me with the exclamation points. I like it. Saying it with your chest. I like it. Steven's defending himself. He says, you know what, Joe? I hear you. Ed's stats this year are top 5 tackle in the league. I can't argue with that. Like his pressure numbers and his sack. He got 8.5 sacks, man. Maybe. Oh, now you're backing off. Let's see here. Wow, a lot of you guys are saying cornerstone. You guys are trying to bully me into this. Well, Josh, hold on here. We haven't gotten to that yet. We just started the defense. I promise you, those guys are coming down. Those guys are coming down for sure. So that's not the precedent. Like what you see that's not been updated is where it was preseason. Here's what I'll say about Quinnen Williams. And Kyle and I had a debate this week about Quinnen Williams and if he should be a Pro Bowler this year. His numbers are not good in terms of sacks, but his tackles for loss, his pressure numbers are really good. If you play for the Jets, you are never playing with the lead, right? And that's like important. If you want to talk about splash plays on defense, you need a lead so you can be aggressive and attack the football and rush the passer. He never has that chance. Oh, all good, Josh. You might not. Thank you for falling on that for us. You're probably not the only one. I'm sure you're not. We have 180 people in here right now, and at the beginning when I was going through this, we had a third of that. So all good, dude. I was glad to be able to take a chance to explain it. I'm leaving Ed Oliver in this one. Just same thought of Deion Dawkins. I'm not putting him in the Chris Jones, Aaron Donald bucket. I'm not doing it yet. Linval Joseph, I think, has come in and provided sufficient level depth. I'm going to put him as a purple. I think he's been a fine rotational addition to the defensive line. Tim Settle's actually played a lot better the last couple weeks. Is he replacement level or is he at least a quality depth player? What do you guys think on Tim Settle? And Poona Ford, while I'm looking for feedback on Tim Settle, let me talk about Poona Ford because I think that Poona Ford is a starting caliber one technique in the NFL. For the Bills, he's not been that, obviously. He needed Jordan Phillips to get hurt to even get a jersey on game day. But if you watch him against the Chargers, you watch him against Tampa, his last 2 games, he looked really good to me. I have no idea why he's not getting more opportunity. And that's what's important about this. This isn't me trying to guess how the Bills view these players. This is my personal evaluation of these players. I think that Poona Ford's a starting caliber defensive tackle in the NFL. I'm leaving him as a yellow. Checking out the comments here on Tim Settle. Depth. I agree. Let's put him as quality depth. I wish he made more of an impact, but I don't want to say that he's a replacement level player just because I wish he was better, right? Like sometimes you can just be quality depth, and that's fine. All right, let's look at the edge here. Boogie Basham. Speaking of Boogie Basham, that dude hasn't done a thing for the Giants this year. So I guess the Bills didn't get much back for him, but he obviously, wasn't. I don't think it's going to happen for him. Shane Ray, see you later. Thanks for everything. So Kingsley Jonathan needs to be added to this mix. Gotta spell it correctly. All right, so we got Kingsley in there. I think that's the right mix of edge rushers. Greg Rousseau, I still think he's a quality starter. Looking for a little bit more consistent sack production for him to take that next step. But I'm a big Greg Rousseau fan, I'll tell you that. AJ Epinesa, quality depth is where he came into the year. He's certainly not less than that. I think so. I think AJ Epinesa could start for somebody and be a sufficient level player. We're giving him the bump. I got to click. Oh boy, pushing all the wrong buttons here. 1 second. What am I doing wrong? Oh, it's the yellow. Yeah, sorry. There you go. And then Shaq Lawson, forever quality depth. Big fan of that. I think that was pretty easy for me. Epinesa to sufficient starter. Shaq Lawson stays quality depth. Now over here, I mean, come on with Von Miller. Candidly, like I've watched every snap of Von Miller this year, and I don't see it. I don't see burst. I don't see bend. I don't see timing. I don't see physicality. I don't see strength. And I certainly don't see consistent effort. Like his motor's also bad. He is not a roster cornerstone. There's no chance of it. And like, hopefully that can be a different conversation once we get to next year. He's further away from the injury, all of that. And I give him some level of grace because I think it's probably hard to not only rehab, but like ramp up simultaneously to play a season. I think the Bills should have definitely been a little bit more patient with bringing him back. And maybe if Daquan Jones and Matt Milano and Trey White were available, they could have been a little bit more willing to delay there. I think they were looking for a spark to the defense and hoping that he can provide it. But also you think about Greg Rousseau and the injuries that he's had this year, that probably influenced them getting Von Miller back a little bit quicker, but he's not a blue. I mean, if we're being honest, this is what Von Miller has been this year. That's what he's been this year. Like, there's just no doubt about it. I don't want that to be true, but that's what he's been. And he's also not a starter, so you can get out of that. All right. I got to put him there. I think that's the spot. Let me see the chat. Pink. Well, and no, like, honestly, yeah, like we could. It's an incomplete evaluation. But for now, like, just based on what he's actually shown us this year, I think it's that. And I hope that we can come back at some point and feel like Von is getting back to what he was before the injury. But I think for now, I got to put him there. Kingsley Jonathan, I know you're athletic. You made the team. Congratulations. I still don't know what you are. You're going to be a pink incomplete evaluation. All right, so that's the defensive line. And I think we've seen regression here. No, I didn't do Leonard Floyd. We'll get to Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd, he's probably a blue, right? He's probably a quality starter. He's got 10.5 sacks. Yeah, I agree. And I'm seeing the chat now. 100%. Hey, this is a good take. I'm trying to hold on. My computer's getting a little laggy here. 1 second. Yeah, I think this is a really good take. And one thing that I'll say about Shaq Lawson that probably gets a little bit lost in evaluating his career is he was drafted and then Rex Ryan started playing him as a 3-4 outside linebacker. And then he also had that shoulder his first season was gone because of that labrum injury in his shoulder. And I don't know, I don't think he ever really got everything back, but I think that's a kind of a good way to put it. I think everybody understands that we're going to put Leonard Floyd here. So this has been good. I think you saw growth from Epinesa, growth from Tim Settle, growth from Leonard Floyd. Regression, big time right here. And that's a problem. And obviously not having Daquan Jones, who would probably be this, hurts a lot. All right, let's do the linebackers. And this hurts. And so now it becomes this. AJ Klein, you are no longer part of this mix. Dorian Williams. Who else do they have? Is there another player that I'm not? Oh, Balin Spector. Okay. Talk to me about Terrell Bernard. What are you guys thinking? Obviously, he's no longer a pink. What are we putting him in? I'm very excited to see your comments. I'm going to start to fill in the easy stuff. Balin Spector, we don't know, dude. You're still a pink. Tyler Medikevich, quality depth for special teams. Dorian Williams is a rookie. I'm going to keep him as a rookie, but I want to know what you guys think about Terrell Bernard. He's at least a yellow. Are we going to light blue, quality starter? Yeah, I'm seeing it. I'm liking it. I feel like David Scruggs, you are grounding me a lot in this conversation. I appreciate your comments. Dark blue, now we're getting crazy. He's making splash plays. I think that's my favorite thing about Terrell Bernard is like the fumble recoveries, the sacks, the pass deflections, the interceptions, they're all there. And I don't know that I've watched a game this year and thought to myself, you know what, man, Terrell Bernard is a liability to this team. I think he's been making a high impact. It's the splash plays that really move the needle for me. Now, whenever I do this with Kyle, we do it individually and then we come together and we debate the differences where we're different. I would guarantee that Kyle would have him as a yellow and I'd have to concede that argument. Because the sample size is not big enough, but should I do it? Let me put him there for now. I'm going to put him as a yellow for now. The coverage, though, has been so good. Let's do this. He's been the quarterback of one of the better defenses in the NFL under a lot of tough circumstances. I'm putting him there. Tyrel Dotson. What's interesting about Tyrel Dotson is if you can strip it down to what he's asked to do, play downhill, blitz, and defend short zones, he's excellent at that. And the reality is because he does have limitations, the Bills have to get creative with how they play long and late downs. But for what they ask Tyrel Dotson to do, he does a great job. Somebody said dark green. Dotson. Look at the guy. A lot of love for Dotson here. I think he's a yellow. I think that's the appropriate place to put him. Yellow. Sufficient level starter. So there's the linebackers. I'm going to put him as a pink. I feel weird keeping him as a green. All right, so that's linebacker. Let's do safety, and then we'll do corner. Okay, all right. Dean Marlowe, you are not part of this mix. Taylor Rapp, DeMar Hamlin, Cam Lewis actually is right here. All right, Jordan Poyer is not a roster cornerstone. I think Jordan Poyer is this. I think he's a sufficient level starter. It's a big drop. I don't like it, but it is what it is. I think he's, like I said, I don't think he's a slug out there. I think he's a sufficient level starter, but the high end impact Jordan Poyer, I don't see it. Taylor Rapp, I don't view him. I thought of him as a starting caliber player when we got him from the Rams. I think he's been a lot more quality depth than he's been a guy that I view as a starter anymore. And one thing that I'll say about Taylor Rapp, and as I've been critical of him, I also am mindful of, I think he's better suited to do a lot of the stuff that they ask Jordan Poyer to do. But when he plays, he has to do the stuff that Micah Hyde is asked to do. And I don't know if that's as good of a role for him. Micah Hyde, sorry, bud. This ain't going to work for you. Probably that, if I'm being a little bit generous. Recency bias can creep in because what he did again, he missed last week. He missed the last two games. So we saw him against Philly. He gave up 2 touchdowns. He was dreadful against Philly. And then did he play the next game? I think he did. He played the next game against the Chiefs. Yeah. He got cooked on 2-man coverage calls, whiffed on Travis Kelce, and got hurt. It's weird to call him quality depth. I'm going to leave him right here, but that might be a little generous for Micah Hyde. But I'm trying to be mindful of, like, for the entire season, I've mostly been satisfied with him, but that Eagles Kansas City stretch with that all that's being on my mind right now is not good. But before that, I thought he was fine. Not impactful, but fine. Cam Lewis, this feels like an easy purple to me. 4-phase special teamer. And we're starting to talk about, or at least I am, and I've seen some of the comments that I've had from you guys, Cam Lewis taking some of that opportunity that Taylor Rapp gets. I think Cam Lewis is every bit of a purple and somebody that I think should be in competition to be the starting free safety next year. I would say that that's a definite yes. I'm not forgetting Andy Isabella. He's on the practice squad. Damar Hamlin, what do you say here? I mean, he hasn't played all year, except for like late in a couple of games. He's played special teams. He was part of the reason the Bills had one of the punts nearly blocked last week. I don't know. He's not been very good. I'm going to put him as this. I think that's it's unfortunate. It's a great story. But the fact that as an experienced player on this team, he couldn't beat out Taylor Rapp, can't beat out Cam Lewis. I don't know. I think he's a replacement level player. So we need to do corner. And obviously there's a ton of things that are different here. You're not part of this mix. You're on injured reserve. You're not part of this mix. You are. Congratulations. You're not part of this. Wow, this corner situation turned upside down real quick. So this is what the Bills actually have. This will be Rasul Douglas, Dane Jackson, Christian Benford, and then Saron Neal. But then the reality here is Cam Lewis can play outside corner if needed. I don't think I'm missing anybody. All right, so we for safety, we saw some regression here. This is a big regression. This is a big regression. This is actually a regression based on what I thought. And this has been better. And then it's a linebacker. This has been better. Terrell Bernard's been better than I thought. Tyrell Dotson's been a lot better than I thought. But then the big rip your heart out is Matt Milano's on injured reserve. I think Christian Benford has absolutely shown that he's this. I think he's definitely a sufficient level starter. And the arrow is pointing up there in terms of him being a kind of a fixture here for this defense. He's been a nice player for us. Ooh, look at some people are saying quality starter. Who would have? Yeah, Ned. Who would have thought? Rasul Douglas is our best corner, but he is. There's no question. Rasul, 31, right? You got to remind yourself it's not Dean Marlowe. I think Rasul Douglas is every bit of this right here. Quality starter. Stabilized the Bills' coverage in so many ways. He tackles, he blitzes, physical, takes away the football. Been a big addition for the Bills. I think Dane Jackson is probably still a purple, quality depth player. That's a fringe yellow, at least for this team. I think Saron Neal as a special teams guy is a quality depth player. You don't really want him to have to play defense, but very meaningful part of the football team. Oh, I have Saron Neal in here twice. Not great. And Taron Johnson is absolutely a quality starting slot corner. So this got turned upside down, but through it, you wound up getting a quality starter. You developed a sufficient level starter with the arrow pointing up. And then it's nice to continue to have Dane Jackson as depth. So that's how I'd have it. And what's really kind of sad about this is I started the year with Allen, Diggs, Von Miller, Hyde, Poyer, Milano, Trey White as all franchise cornerstones. And you lost a lot of those. You only have Allen and Diggs playing, at that level, and kind of had to, not that it was hard for me to not keep Stephon Diggs as a roster cornerstone, but I had to at least think about it. So there it is. What do you think? Let's talk about it. Got a few minutes. We can talk about the Bills, whatever you want to get into here before we sign off. This has been fun. 2 dark blues on IR. Yeah, that's hurt. That hurts. Trey White and Matt Milano over here. And then Von Miller, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde not being at that level anymore obviously hurts a ton. Absolutely hurts a ton. And then if we're being honest, like Daquan Jones was 100% playing at a crazy, insane level before he got hurt. So you got some tough deals over there. Yeah, this is a good point here, David. Like, Brandon Beane deserves so much credit for this roster being able to experience the attrition that it has, not just through injuries, but some of the aging players' regressions with what he was able to do. I mean, Leonard Floyd, a wonderful offseason addition, being willing to roll with Terrell Bernard and not pay Tremaine Edmonds at linebacker. To trade for Rasul Douglas in season, to add Linval Joseph in season, to fix the guard position that's been a mess for a long time, to trust Spencer Brown's development. And look what he's getting from last year's draft class. Like, I know that Kyer Elam's the headliner, but James Cook, Terrell Bernard, Christian Benford from last year's draft class. I mean, just a great job. Just an absolute great job. Let's see here. Yep, sure was. What's the future for Trey White? It's a good question. Like, I struggle with this. I don't know that I can expect much at all from Trey White, as you know, he's pushing 30, ACL tear into an Achilles, and an Achilles injury is tough for people. Like, you don't see like running backs never come back from Achilles injuries. And so I'm very concerned about what this is going to look like for Tre'Davious White. And I don't really, some people bring up like switching him to safety. And my reservation there is, I don't think he's a physical player. I don't think he's a good tackler. And I love Trey White, but I think you have to be more physical and you have to tackle better at safety. And like, I know he has his own coverage ability. I know he has the ball skills, but he's missing that for sure. Who do you think the best bill for the money? It's a fun question. Right now, you're getting Terrell Bernard as a quality starter on a 3rd round pick rookie salary. That's pretty good. Might be him. I mean, James Cook as well. Deion Dawkins. I mean, Deion Dawkins is not a. Let me see here. I think we all kind of agree that Deion Dawkins is a top 10 tackle. And he is not paid like he's a top 10 tackle. I'm going to look that up right now, actually. He's paid as the number 14 left tackle in the NFL. His average annual salary is $14.75 million. I think that's an absolute steal for the Bills. It's a fun question. How far do I think we get in the playoffs? Well, let's beat the Patriots first. Beat the Patriots. I mean, who scares you in the AFC, right? Baltimore, maybe. Miami, maybe. You can beat any of these teams. There's no doubt in my mind. It's just going to come down to what do you look like that day and how do you manage the game? Appreciate that, Ned. Hit that like button. Very, very helpful. Yep, this is a good point here by Nicholas. Rookie contracts are cheat codes for the question. Well, so to my credit, I did bring up Deion Dawkins as, I think, a value contract, the 14th highest paid left tackle. So a middle of the pack paid left tackle for what we think is probably top 8 left tackle. Seems like a good deal. Browns scare me a little. I'd like to find out. I really would. Joe Flacco, their team's hurt. Nick Chubb, they don't have either of their starting tackles. I don't know. I'd sign me up for that. It's a good question. Like Rasul Douglas is 31 years old. Like I don't know that there's a whole lot of ceiling left for him, but for what he does a great job. He's a good fit for the Bills. Yeah, I feel lost right now. I can't believe it's been the Bills played Saturday. I haven't watched the tape, so I feel all kinds of weird. I was really wanting to watch the passing game for sure and see, because I know early on, and I talked about this on Herd Mentality today. Early on, they wanted to throw the ball, and I think because they were kind of erratic with it, they stopped. And I wanted to really assess that early on, see what the issues were there. I wanted to see why maybe the pass rush felt like it was hot or cold. Obviously, 5 sacks, big moments, but I wanted to see, some of those early down moments, especially earlier in the game where Easton Stick seemed to find what he wanted out there. I wanted to get an understanding of that. That's probably the 2 most important things that I wanted to check out. Brian Burns to Buffalo. That's going to be pushing $30 million a season. I don't think that's going to happen. Why didn't the all 22 come out? What was the delay? I wish I could tell you. Like, there are 2 sources that I have for all 22, and neither of them had it. And one of them is the NFL Plus. They didn't have it. And normally I have another source that gets it to me a lot sooner. I woke up this morning at 5 a.m. ready to do it, and it wasn't there. So we're doing this instead. I hate that, but I'm glad we're able to get something in here. All right, folks, this has been really fun. I appreciate you joining me here. Impromptu Tuesday night. Over 200 of you in here for a lot of it. This has been fun. I've enjoyed it. And like I said, I probably need to go live more often, but I'm glad that we did it. I'm glad that you participated. I would love it if you were to like the video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. All of that is a lot of fun. So thanks for being here with me. And then really for the podcast, the rest of the week, we're going to shift gears to the Patriots. We're going to record with Mike Debate of Locked On Patriots tomorrow for crossover. We'll do the full primer. We'll get our typical Friday show in. Obviously, the Bills have clinching scenarios this weekend, like very legitimate. You win the game. The Chiefs beat the Bengals, and the Seahawks beat the Steelers. The Bills punch their ticket to the postseason this weekend. So it's good. It's going to be fun. Can you give us 3 synonyms for pulling levers? Making good decisions. I don't know. Yeah, making good decisions, pull the right levers. I don't know. All right, I'm getting out of here. We're going to get off the rails here. Appreciate everybody. Go Bills. We'll catch up again real soon.